Welcome to Spiritual Healing Coach. I'm Krista, and if you're visiting a new church after being hurt, you deserve clarity and calm. Today we're counting down 7 vetting questions before you commit. Let's begin with number 7. 7. How do you talk about people who leave? Why it matters. Women are often labeled rebellious, gossips, or Jezebels when they set boundaries or step away. How a church narrates departures reveals its true culture. What to ask. When members move on, how do you bless and release them? Then pause. Silence is a truth serum. Green flags sound like this. We speak blessing over people who go. We offer a warm exit meeting if they want it, transfer records quickly, and help them connect elsewhere. We don't cut off friendships. You might also hear, some leave us with feedback. We review it and publish improvements. That's grown up, Jesus-shaped. Red flags to watch. Leaders tell cautionary tales, hint at spiritual deception, or warn the church to avoid former members. Social consequences follow. Lost small groups, unfriending, kids sidelined. If they frame leaving as betrayal instead of choice, that's control wearing a choir robe. Quick test. Ask 2 women who've been there a while, apart from staff. What happens when someone steps back? Compare answers. Healthy systems don't change the story room to room. Body wisdom check. Notice your shoulders and breath while they answer. Peace expands. Control tightens. Your nervous system is data, not drama. Boundary sentence you can use. I'm discerning at my own pace. If leaving means I'm shamed or cut off, this isn't a safe place for me. You owe no debate. Scripture anchor. When Paul and Barnabas separated over sharp disagreement, the mission continued. Character, not control, held them steady. Love isn't threatened by adult choices. Tiny step today. Draft a simple, if needed, exit plan. Who you'd inform, what you'd say, how you'd keep your friendships. Planning doesn't mean leaving. It gives your heart a seatbelt. If you've been smeared before, I'm so sorry. You are not hard to love. You are in a hard place to be honest. Healthy communities bless and release. You're allowed to choose environments where your no is as respected as your yes. Next, number 6. What happens when leaders fail or harm someone? Stay with me. By the end, you'll have a simple checklist and language to use this week for conversations. Number 6. What happens when leaders fail or harm someone? If a church is safe, you'll see how it handles the worst day. Women are often told to keep it quiet, don't damage the ministry, or to forgive fast. That is not protection, that's image management. What to ask? If a leader crosses a boundary or harms someone, what are your exact steps, internally and with civil authorities? Then ask for the policy in writing. Green flags sound like this. We have a written safeguarding discipline policy. Reports can be made anonymously. We remove the leader from power immediately during investigation. We use an independent third party, cooperate with law enforcement when laws may be broken, and practice mandatory reporting. We provide care for the victim, advocate, counseling referrals, paid time off if staff. We update the church appropriately, and we do not rush restoration. That's safety first. Red flags to watch. We handle things in-house. Matthew 18 only. Leaders decide if harm counts. Pressure to meet with the person who hurt you. Quick public tears followed by a rapid return to the platform. No paper trail. Retaliation. Lost volunteer roles. Social freeze-out. Whispered blame. Quick test. Request the actual document. Note the date last updated, who authored it, and whether women helped write it. Ask, when was this last used? Who investigated? How were victims supported? If they only offer slogans, you have your answer. Body wisdom check. As they explain, notice your jaw and gut. Safety feels spacious and specific. Danger feels foggy and fast. Boundary sentence you can use. If a leader harms me or anyone I love, I will report to the proper authorities and involve an independent advocate. Please direct all contact through that advocate. You don't owe private meetings with someone who violated safety. Scripture anchor: have nothing to do with the fruitless deeds of darkness, but rather expose them. Ephesians 5:11. And of church leaders, those who sin are to be rebuked publicly so that the others may take warning. 1 Timothy 5:19-20. Accountability is biblical. Cover-ups are not. Tiny step today. Create a notes file titled, "If I Need Help." List one trusted friend, one licensed counselor or hotline in your area, and the phrase above. Preparing isn't pessimism, it's peace. If your last story involved silence or blame, I'm so sorry. You deserve protection. Healthy churches center the wounded, not the platform. Next up, number 5, how women and marginalized people are treated in teaching and leadership. 5. How are women and marginalized people treated in teaching and leadership? If a church is truly safe, dignity isn't a slogan. It's policy, practice, and people in the room. Women often feel the pinch first, gifted but sidelined, invited to serve but not to shape. How they treat women, single moms, people of color, immigrants, and disabled members tells you everything. What to ask? What roles can women hold here, including preaching, teaching mixed groups, leading teams, and voting on decisions? How are pay, promotions, and grievances handled? Ask for policies in writing. Green flags sound like this. Women and men teach and lead. We publish salary bands and review pay equity annually. We have a written anti-harassment policy, multiple reporting paths, including an external option, and a guaranteed no retaliation clause. Leadership reflects the diversity of our congregation. We budget for accessibility, ASL, captions, sensory spaces, and we seek feedback from impacted members. You might also hear, "Here's our pathway for developing women's gifts, mentors, preaching labs, feedback. That's dignity with receipts. Red flags to watch. Vague, we value women language with no specifics. Women can organize events, but can't decide budgets. We don't do titles until a man gets one." Jokes from the pulpit that stereotype women or shame bodies. No written grievance process, or a process that roots everything back to the very men involved. We're not ready for that, with no timeline or steps. Quick test. Look at the website leadership page and last year's preaching calendar. Who's pictured? Who preached? Who signs checks? Then walk your eyes around the room. Who's ushering? Who's praying on mic? Who's cleaning up? Power leaves footprints. Body wisdom. Check. As they answer, notice your breath and chest. Dignity feels steady and spacious. Tokenism feels tight and performative. Boundary sentence you can use. I'm looking for a church that develops women's gifts and protects women's bodies. If those pieces aren't in place, policy, process, and representation, I won't be a good fit. You don't owe endless debates about your worth. Scripture anchors. From the first page, male and female he created them in God's image, Genesis 1:27. At Pentecost, your sons and daughters will prophesy, Joel 2:28, Acts 2. The Spirit doesn't gatekeep gifts. Tiny step today. Write 3 yes-no checks on a sticky note. Women preach, pay equity policy, external reporting path. Take it with you. If any are missing, pause your commitment. If you've been minimized before, your ache makes sense. You are not asking for favors, you're asking for fruit. Next up, number 4, money and giving. How pressure and secrecy reveal what's really worshipped. 4, money and giving. Pressure versus transparency. If a church mishandles money, it will eventually mishandle people. Women are often targeted with guilt-tinged appeals. If you really trust God, you'll give now. Generosity is beautiful. Coercion is not. What to ask? How do you handle budgets, salaries, audits, and benevolence? Do you publish an annual report? Who approves the pastor's compensation? Ask for it in writing, not just promises from a mic. Green flags sound like this. Our budget and an independent audit summary are public. A finance team, not the lead pastor, sets salaries using outside benchmarks. We teach giving as voluntary and prayerful, no tithing quotas. We maintain a benevolence fund with clear criteria, and donors do not receive access or influence. We avoid emotional pressure and never tie God's favor to a dollar amount. That's worship without manipulation. Red flags to watch: high-pressure giving moments, break the curse, sow a seed for breakthrough, tracking who gives and who doesn't, VIP perks for big donors, no line of sight to where funds go, we don't discuss salaries, or the Spirit leads our budget with no numbers. Beware spiritualized hard sells, stories designed to bypass your boundaries. Quick test: request last year's annual report. Look for simple charts: income, expenses, reserves, percentage to care, mission versus overhead. Ask, who audits this? Who approves raises? What percentage supported benevolence last year? If answers get foggy or defensive, that's your answer. Body wisdom check. Notice if your chest tightens when they talk about money. Coercion feels like hurry and shame. Health feels like clarity and pace. Your nervous system is telling the truth. Boundary sentence you can use: I give prayerfully and freely, not under pressure or promises. If giving here requires urgency, shame, or special access, I won't participate. You owe no explanation for protecting your financial peace. Scripture anchors: each of you should give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion. 2 Corinthians 9:7. And Jesus, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Matthew 6:3-4. Secrecy about who gives protects dignity. Transparency about how money is used protects the community. Tiny step today. Write your personal giving rule of life. 2 lines. I give from freedom, not fear. I require clarity, annual report, independent oversight, before committing. Keep it in your notes so you can return to it when emotions run high. If you were shamed before, I'm sorry. God is not a paywall. Healthy churches invite, they don't intimidate. Next up, number 3, counseling, trauma, and boundaries. How a church treats the wounded when the cameras are off. 3, counseling, trauma, and boundaries. What to ask. Do pastors receive trauma-informed training? And do you refer to licensed clinicians? What are your safeguarding and mandated reporting policies? Ask for it in writing. Green flags: safety-first mindset, pastors trained in trauma and referral, written safeguarding with mandated reporting, survivor advocate, clear confidentiality limits, rest and boundaries modeled, no pressure to overserve. Red flags: spiritualizing mental health, discouraging therapy, forgive, submit over safety, pressuring meetings with someone who violated boundaries, no written policy, leaders counseling beyond their competence, secrecy with notes. Quick test: request the policy and the date of last training. Ask who supervises pastoral counseling. Scan their counselor referral list. Licensed, diverse. Body wisdom: jaw soft, safer, jaw clenched, breath shallow. Caution. Boundary sentence: I'll pursue licensed care and use an independent advocate. I won't meet privately with someone who crossed my boundaries. Scripture anchors: Psalm 34:18, Luke 10, Good Samaritan. Mark 2:27, rest is for people. 2. How are questions and disagreements handled? What to ask. If I disagree with the sermon or policy, what's the path to raise it? Green flags: published Q&A channels, humble tone, member meetings, peacemaking policy you can read, room for Matthew 18 and safeguarding exceptions, neutral mediation when needed, no retaliation. Red flags: labeling dissent as gossip, rebellion, one door through the senior pastor, sermons aimed at critics, loyalty tests, social media monitoring, stonewalling, or speed. Quick test. Send a simple, sincere question by email and note the tone and timeliness of the reply. Ask 2 laywomen how they raised a concern and whether it matched the written process. Body wisdom. Throat tightness is data. Fear of punishment isn't normal. Boundary sentence. I raise concerns in writing and expect a kind, timely process. If I'm shamed or ignored, I'll step back. Scripture anchors. Acts 17:11, Bereans examined. James 3:17, wisdom is open to reason. Proverbs 12:1. Tiny step today. Save one licensed counselor's contact and draft a 1-line question you could email a church this week. Preparing isn't pessimism, it's peace. Next up, number 1, the big one. Who holds power here and how is it checked? Number 1. Who holds power here and how is it checked? This is the big one. If power is healthy, almost everything else can heal. If power is unchecked, everything else eventually hurts, especially women. You are not difficult for wanting clarity. You are wise. What to ask? Can you describe your leadership structure and who each leader is accountable to? Who evaluates the lead pastor? How are money, safeguarding, and discipline overseen? By whom, and with what authority? Ask for this in writing. Green flags, plural leadership, elders, board, with clear bylaws, independent, non-staff, non-family board members, term limits and rotation, published minutes or summaries of major decisions, independent financial audits, conflict of interest and whistleblower policies, a safeguarding team with real power, external advisors when crises hit, annual 360-degree reviews for top leaders, including feedback from women and non-staff. Red flags, one-person rule or a family-run board, board made of staff who report to the leader, vague, covering language instead of policy, secrecy around budgets and discipline, no term limits, loyalty tests, NDAs for staff volunteers, fast-track decisions announced from the stage with no process you can read. Quick tests, request the org chart, current board roster, with bios, and term lengths. Are most members independent of payroll and family ties? Ask for the bylaws table of contents and the last date they were updated. Ask, when was the last time a leader was corrected? What did accountability look like? Listen for specifics, not spin. Body wisdom check. As they answer, notice your breath and shoulders. Safety feels specific and unhurried. Danger feels foggy and fast. Your nervous system isn't dramatic, it's data. Boundary sentence you can use. I'm looking for shared leadership, published policies, and independent oversight. If decisions live in one person's pocket, or I can't see the process, I'll step back. You don't owe endless debates about why power with guardrails is godly. Scripture anchors, where there is no guidance, a people falls, but in an abundance of counselors there is safety. Proverbs 11:14. Shepherds are called to lead, not lording it over those entrusted. 1 Peter 5:3. In Acts 15, the church discerned together, plural voices, humble process. Tiny step today, write your 3 non-negotiables for power. 1. Independent board. 2. Written safeguarding with teeth. 3. Transparent money. Take this list when you visit. If any are missing, pause your commitment. You're allowed to take your time. Healthy churches won't punish slow trust. You are not behind. You are building a safer future. Support our channel Ko-fi.com Spiritual Healing Coach.